tonight we're gonna make love. You know how I know? Because it's Wednesday. And Wednesday night is the night that we usually make love. Monday night is my night to cook. Tuesday night we go and visit your mother. But Wednesday we make sweet weekly love. It's when everything is just right. There's nothing good on TV. You haven't had your after-work social sports team practice, so you're not too tired. Oh, it's all on. You lean in and whisper something sexy in my ear like, I might go to bed now, I've got work in the morning. I know what you're trying to say, girl. You're trying to say, oh yeah, it's business time. It's business time. It's business. It's business time. I know what you're trying to say. You're trying to say it's time for business. It's business time. Ooh, it's business. It's business time. Oh, yeah. Then we're in the bathroom, brushing our teeth. That's all part of the foreplay. I love foreplay. A shake, a shake, a shake, a shake, a shake, a shake. Ow. And you sort out the recycling. That isn't part of the foreplay process, but it is still very important. Next thing you know, we're in the bedroom. You're wearing that baggy old ugly t-shirt you got from your work several years ago. You know the one, baby, with the color stain. I remove my clothes very, very clumsily, tripping sensuously over my pants. Now I'm naked, except for my socks. And you know when I'm down to just my socks, what time it is. It's business. It's business time. You know when I'm down to my socks, it's time for business. That's why they call business. It's business. It's business time. Yeah. Make a love. Make a love for. Make a love for two. Make a love for 2 minutes. When it's with me, girl, you only need 2 minutes. Because I'm so intense. You whisper something sexy like, is that it? I know what you're trying to say, girl. You're trying to say, oh yeah, that's it. And you tell me you want some more. Well, I'm not surprised. But I'm quite sleepy. It's business. It's business time. Business hours are over, baby. It's business.
That's right, baby. It's Wednesday. And Wednesday is the day that me and Jeffrey usually make love.
Make love. Here we are.
Yeah, we don't do the other stuff. We make love. How we doing, Jeffrey? Welcome in, everybody. You know, I before we get into it, I have to say that is Buff hurt? I haven't seen Buffs in fantasy football.
Oh man, I don't know.
Buff, I'm sorry,
I think he's okay. I think he's okay. Yeah.
I don't know. Ricky been telling me there was some serious rumblings going around Boathouse, and
like what?
He was just how it was shit, that the reseeding, and I put up that 1 week, and he had that one player. Hey man, that's just the way it goes, man.
It's tough, bro.
The cookie crumbles. I mean, you got to think, if little Mikey Fitzpatrick would have made it to the championship, he would have won. It's just the way it is, man. I can't.
Little Mikey Fitzpatrick.
Little Mikey Fitzy. Little Fitzy. Well, welcome in, everybody. Jeffrey, how we doing?
I'm doing great. Me and wifey, new diet, new year, feeling great. Trying to have more energy, eat better. maybe lose a little bit of weight in the process as well too. But because of that, I'm not going out at night. Just been chilling at home. So we started binging Landman. Billy Bob
Don't
Thornton.
tell me anything about it, please.
I'm not going to spoil anything for you.
Okay, that's all I'm saying. I just don't want to know any of the details because we were saving that one up. We finished Lioness. We just finished Homeland last night.
How good's Lioness, by the way? It's fantastic.
It's okay.
Fantastic.
Well, I mean, the first season was great, right? But after the first season, it's like, okay, so what the premise is going to be every season. She's going to go find an asset and blah, blah, blah. And this, it was still good. Still good. Before we get too far off the rails here,
and then the Lioness is,
Yeah, of course. There's always scissor kicking. Like we said it like right. I think it was like season 1, episode 2. I'm like, this is going to turn into lesbians. 100%. Of course, there it goes. Love that actress though, Zoe or whatever her name is.
Zoe Saldana. She just won a Golden Globe for a movie I've never heard of in my life.
Loved her from Mission Impossible back in the day.
Beat Wicked. Yeah, she was good in Mission Impossible too.
So the crazy thing about this is like all of this stuff, Landman, Yellowstone,
Taylor Sheridan.
It's all Taylor Sheridan. But do you know how this all came about? I was reading into this, man. It's really, really great. So Taylor Sheridan years back ago was just like an extra actor, like nothing really going. And, he was living, obviously I don't know if it's out of his car, but like, basically hanging on like most Americans are paycheck to paycheck, trying to get through. And he said, you know what, screw this. I'm going to focus on my writing. Obviously, he did a couple things before Yellowstone, but Yellowstone was the catalyst, right? So he made like 20 million or something off of Yellowstone, especially when it kept going. And then the 4 Sixes Ranch came up for sale, which is as it happened like 100 years, right? And they came to him and they said, look, we want to sell the 4 Sixes Ranch. We know that you're interested. We know that you will preserve and maintain what we've done throughout. We want to sell it to you. And he's like, okay, well, how much do you want? And they're like 200 million. And he's like, well, I'm like 180 million short. and they said, well, they gave him like 30 days, 60 days, figure it out. And he went to Paramount and said, I need $200 million. And they're like, oh, okay. And then they got together and he developed all of these things. He got the 200 million up front to buy the 4 Sixes Ranch, and he is just spitting out these series now. What a story, man. What a great story. I know a lot of people think that he's a douchebag. I know him and Kevin Costner don't get along. And I'm sure his britches are pretty big right now, right? And, his balls are dangling and swinging pretty low. But why not, bro? You bought your lifelong 4 Sixes Ranch. I mean, what a beautiful story. That's the American dream.
I'm sure Kevin Costner's balls are pretty big as well, too, in terms of what he thinks about himself.
It is, but man, he's put out some bad shit. Waterworld, I don't think I'll ever recover from that.
I'm just saying, like, he doesn't come off as like the most humble person in the world.
Well, you know what? You think he would be humbled after his new production, that Horizon, came out. So basically, obviously, with the success that he saw from Yellowstone, right? And the spinoffs, the 1883, the 1923. We didn't even go into those Taylor Sheridan ones. He tried to make his own of like how the West was, and it just bombed, bro. Just completely bombed.
I think it's crazy how like watching Taylor Sheridan and the way he does things, and it's like he sets up these amazing people on screen together. People that you've never really thought about like being in the same moment,
which is weird, right?
And in these roles, and then like not only does he have them act to their fullest and really delve into the character fully, but then he also has no problem immediately offing them. I think there would have to be something like because when you got Nicole Kidman, you got all these big A-list actors, right? And even on movies now, like I think the days are gone of like getting like 50 million, 30 million up front. They all get a cut instead now on the back end.
Because I mean, even like the Expendables, right? I mean, look at all that, right? You got all those male egos all in one room, like they're all $20 million plus people. You're not going to spend $150 million in salary to put together a movie, right?
Yeah.
Great story. So anyway, back to Landman. You said you started binging Landman.
What's up, Justice? Anyway, it's just nice to kind of hop in and I don't know, have something to kind of want to go home and look forward to. to watch and to get into. So it's been cool, just been laying low, hanging out, basically waiting for Sunday to come.
Well, it is now the Arctic tundra down here in Florida. I had to turn the heat on for the first time in about a year and a half, I think.
Turned it on yesterday and today again.
I'm one of those guys. It's like, I just like, I'm holding out, not because I'm cold or hot. It's just principle, right? In Florida, we shouldn't have to use our heat. What do you have your heater set on?
74.
What? 74?
Yeah, why?
What do you keep your air on in the summer?
I don't.
If you say 80, dude, I swear I'm coming through this fucking.
What do I keep my air on in the summer?
Yeah. What temperature do you keep your house at in the summer? If you keep it at 74
it's like
in the winter,
sub 70.
Okay. Okay. We're just gonna let that. All right, we'll let that fly. Jeff likes to be warm and cold at different times of the night. Yes, Justice, it is time. Week 18 is finally over. The NFL season is finally over. The pain is over, Bears fans. We're on to the draft, and that's just what we just love to see. Before we get into the wonderful performance that we saw in Tampa, the Bears did go into Lambeau and beat a beat-up Packers team. Now, Christian Watson goes down with the torn ACL. He's done. As big of an impact as that name sounds, he really hasn't done shit for the Packers this year. He was injured the majority of the year anyway. I don't think that's a big loss. However, Jordan Love is hurt as well. And I have not been a Packer fan all year. Well, really for my life. But, I mean, as far as expectation goes, I thought that they were overrated. I just did. The Bears should have beat them twice this year. And correct me if I'm wrong, maybe the 3 times could put it in there. Is that the only win that the Packers had in the division? Is that one game against the Bears that they should have lost? Correct. They've lost both games to Minnesota, both games to Detroit, and one to Chicago in your own division. I think that they're just going to be – I think that they're just getting exposed. That's all. They had blips. They had good days, and there was a couple games I saw. I was like, wow, Jordan Love looks like the real deal. Like these Packers, they look scary. But Jordan Love, I don't know what has happened in the second half of the season. He just hasn't looked good. So, yes, the Bears go in and finally beat them. I think it's our first win in Lambeau since 2016 or 18.
Been a while. Been a long
11?
time.
Is that 11? 2011 is the first time that we beat them there. And I know it's been since 2016 that we beat them at all. The past 12 games, 6 seasons.
And I do think this. I think you and obviously you're upset. You go from 5 to 10.
We did drop our picks from 5 to 10
for the win. But I'll say this is the one thing that I've seen from Chicago this year has been a consistency in terms of effort. I feel like and not quitting. You can say what you want about the DJ Moore thing, walking off the field or whatever it is, and I still don't think that's as big of a deal as Bears fans do. But at least like a guy like Caleb and your team has decided that they're going to fight to the very end, no matter what. Like I've never seen Caleb give up and say this game is over and take a knee. Unlike what Kevin O'Connell did this week against the Detroit Lions in Detroit, which was completely pathetic. But we'll get to that in a second. But I do think you take a little bit of pride in the fact that they fought the whole year. They fought to the very end. Like I said, I never watched a game in where I saw them giving up. Every time was they were trying to come back and win. And then I love that from a team.
Well, I'll tell you the one thing I can say that I really did enjoy. We disagree a little bit on some of the effort that we've seen, but obviously I've watched every minute of Bears football, and not just the walking off the thing because that whatever he stepped out of bounds that can be easily explained. Whatever, just body language, things of that nature. But yes, I will say this. I had no expectations coming in this. You actually called this Bears money line. You said that the team was going to, put whatever they wanted to do. Thomas Brown gets his first win of the year. I will say, watching Caleb at the end of that game, after all of the heartbreak that he's done, because if you remember, he did the exact same shit against Green Bay the time before, and they blocked the field goal. And he was so jacked coming off that field, and then you could just see it, right? It's just one of those, like, shit, man. Like, how do I have to do everything?
Yeah.
And to see him finally get that win I think was even though we lost from 5-10, was the best thing that could have happened to Caleb Williams, because it finally showed him that he can win in the NFL, that he can win in close games, and that he can get the support from this team to be able to do it. So yeah, to your point, it was a good moment. A lot of shit going down for the Chicago Bears in the offseason. You know, the wide receiver room has to be addressed. I'm sorry. You know, I completely thought that the second half, Caleb Williams regressed immensely. I think that when they pulled Thomas Brown out of the skybox and put him on the sidelines to be the head coach, the offense completely suffered. Caleb suffered. His vision,
the defense suffered too as well as soon as they made that call as well.
As soon as Eberflus was fired, the defense went to absolute shit.
And Thomas Brown took over, and it wasn't just everybody focusing on their own certain aspects now. It all went to hell.
And I think that also gives a point that we can also say, and I know I said this before, is, you know, not firing a coach in the middle of the season. So while Matt Eberflus, we all agree, should have been fired, and there was many controversial things, was that really the best thing for the Chicago Bears to fire him when they did? I don't think so. I think that you regress Caleb Williams. The defense will be fine when the new defensive coordinator comes in, right? I mean, whatever. The defense will be
Ben Johnson going to bring, you think?
I don't think Ben Johnson's going there. I don't. I think that
you think you guys are going to fuck this up again?
I think that
I did see Pete Carroll set to be interviewed. I know Jeremy's excited.
We'll go through this one real quick.
Who else did we send to the group that is being?
Well, it was Mike. I mean, oh my God, dude, the list is pretty bad.
Permission to talk to Mike McCarthy denied. Who else was it? There was two other ones that I sent that were
there was a defensive coordinator from the Dolphins. Drew Petzing from Arizona's offensive coordinator. We have Ben Johnson, obviously. Anthony Weaver, Miami's defensive coordinator. Vance Joseph, Denver's defensive coordinator. Mike Vrabel, which I'm pushing. If we don't get Ben Johnson, which I don't think that we're going to do, just because of what he wants. He wants seems like total organizational control. I just don't see the Bears ever doing that. Plus, they want to get rid of Ryan Poles, and you know that to me is very questionable. I mean, you can look at the picks that he's made, but you can also look at the stuff that he's done that hasn't worked. So, I mean, I think at the end of the day, that the Bears organization and Kevin Ward will probably stick with Ryan Poles simply for the fact that this is the first time I think everybody can agree in the NFL that they landed a franchise quarterback. So I think that alone will probably give him another year. Joe Brady, the Buffalo Bills offensive coordinator, obviously Thomas Brown, which we know that's not going to happen. Todd Monken, the Ravens offensive coordinator, which that one is, that's a little dark horse for me. Very interesting. Mike McCarthy, which we already talked about. Brian Flores, Arthur Smith. And I was talking to cousin Clay about this one. Arthur Smith, the man that just went from Atlanta with Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier, Drake London, Kyle Pitts. I don't know what's going on with Kyle Pitts. I don't know if he just sucks. I don't know. He's showing some life with Penix Jr. I will say that. But that team on paper, at least that offense, should be at least a top 50% offense, and they were dog shit. And he's the offensive coordinator.
Well, he's the OC now for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Correct. And what have we seen out of Pittsburgh Steelers this year that's like, oh my God, this offense is great? Okay. All right. Mike Kafka, the Giants offensive coordinator.
Yeah, it's a wild one to me.
And then David Shaw, the Denver Broncos executive. I don't know what this is for. Oh, he served as head coach for Stanford.
He was Stanford head coach for a while, and then he has got a good relationship with John Elway, so he was brought in over there.
So that's the list. And I can honestly say, again, I think that Ben Johnson, him demanding Ryan Poles be gone and basically wanting complete control, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying I don't think it's going to happen. I just don't. There's no way that the Bears give up that kind of control.
Well,
now, because the Jacksonville Jaguars apparently are ready to hand over the keys to the kingdom and say, do whatever you want.
Well, we'll see, because there's been a couple different things in Jacksonville as well, too. And obviously they fall to the Indianapolis Colts in the last day of the year as well. I do think so. Real quick, just kind of put the bow on the Bears, if we may. Out of all those names, Ben Johnson has said that he's only going to interview 2 places, New England and Chicago. And because those are the only 2 places that he could see himself. And obviously, from his point of view, you're taking over, places that have okay rosters. You have draft capital that you're able to build on. But you also have a young quarterback here you're able to build on as well, too. And so I think he sees Drake.
Doesn't Jacksonville have all of that?
I'm just telling you what Ben Johnson has said.
Was this before or after the Jacksonville rumors?
This might be before. Not really sure. Now, Jacksonville's also reached out to Liam Cohen as well, too, the Bucs offensive coordinator, which it's kind of crazy when you think about some of these playoff games. It feels like these are really for jobs in a lot of instances, such as if Todd Bowles doesn't beat Washington on Sunday night, is he gone? And do they hand the keys of the kingdom over to Liam Cohen? Such as a guy like Sam Darnold, who just, and I know I'm a little bit biased because I may or not have been a little lit on Sunday, hit a nice little parlay and decided to take all the winnings from the parlay and put it all on Justin Jefferson props because the Detroit Lions secondary is absolute fucking trash. And Sam Darnold saw ghosts. And do we say that if Sam Darnold goes in and plays the LA Rams and shits the bed again, that he just cost himself $100 million? So there's a lot of things that are going into this weekend that are very uncertain with a lot of unrest. So we'll see what happens. But I do know if I'm the Chicago Bears, I am handing the keys of the kingdom over to Ben Johnson. Absolutely. You take one of the best hires on the market, one of the guys who everybody wanted last year, who has now pegged you as somewhere where he wants to go, who's a brilliant offensive mind. We talked about it. Let's go ahead and look at, the playoff teams in the NFL right now, right? Most of them have either an offensive guru who's really good, who's running the from the top, or a really good OC who people are trying to poach. And so, yeah, I mean, I think personally,
I think you differ on that one.
Give me somebody who has
the Chargers obviously is Harbaugh. Houston's defensive coach. Baltimore Ravens is Harbaugh.
No. Okay, you missed what I just said. Either they have an offensive-minded head coach already, or they have an OC who people are trying to poach from them because they're so good. Correct?
I mean, I guess. I mean, yeah. I mean, Harbaugh is not calling the plays. I understand what you're saying. I'm not trying to
look at every team. Houston, Bobby Slowick, right? To go along with Ryans. You got Baltimore and Todd Monken. You got Joe Brady in Buffalo. Sean Payton in Denver. Arthur Smith in Pittsburgh to go along with Mike Tomlin. Kansas City, you have Andy Reid, one of the best offensive minds in all of football. LA Rams, now you have 2 guys who run the exact same offense who came from each other in terms of Sean McVay and in terms of Kevin O'Connell, right? Washington, we're going to talk about, yes, they have Dan Quinn, but now they have Cliff Kingsbury, who people are talking about trying to poach them as well. Tampa Bay has Liam Cohen. Green Bay has Matt LaFleur. Philly has Kellen Moore. Detroit, obviously, Ben Johnson. So I think offense is a very, very important role when it comes to a lot of this stuff.
I 100% agree with you on that. I 100% agree with you that I mean it's an offensive focus, and that's why I thought that after some of the comments that they made about, well, if you hire an offensive coach in mind, you never have to worry about your quarterback learning a new offense. Makes sense, right? But I will say this: if we don't get Ben Johnson, my next choice is Mike Vrabel, even though I think that he's already going to the Patriots. That's
very unfortunate what they did. I think that's really, really shitty what they did to Gerard Mayo.
Well, I mean, it's just I haven't seen it come out yet, but I'm sure it's going to be the lame duck minority coach, right? I mean, this is the same thing that they bring all the time. Okay, you hire the minority coach. You don't. I mean, it's just a figurehead for a year until you get the guy that you want, and then you fire him. I know Robert Kraft came out and said that he put him in a bad place. Blah 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 blah. There are obviously some very questionable decisions of what he made. Some questionable comments in regards to I can't go out there and play them. Play for them, which.
Well,
who said that in fantasy every year? I can't go out there and play.
He said that once they cross those lines, your job, there's nothing that you can do more in your job. I mean, obviously, there's scheming things. There's things that you can put people into positions and so on and so forth.
I'm not saying the comment's wrong, but it's like Brian Flores saying Tua sucks balls. Like, it's just not going to go over well with your players.
No.
And to see him,
now
in
come full
talks with
circle.
in Chicago,
Yeah.
that to me, man, I think once you say something like, I think your bridge is burned, bro.
Yeah.
Regardless if you're right or not. I don't
If
know.
if you get a chance, go look at Ryan Fitzpatrick had a interview with Jeremy, who's the former offensive lineman who's now the commentator, who played for the Rams, Andrew Whitworth.
Andrew
Thank
Whitworth.
you for nodding and reminding me of that.
Is it Whitmore or Whitworth?
Whitworth. He got an interview with him where they talked about Brian Flores, and I saw a tweet where it was basically clipped on what Ryan Fitzpatrick said. Now they took a lot of what he said out of context because they got to listen to the entire conversation. So Ryan Fitzpatrick was talking about how a lot of times Flores, his mind became too big for himself, and he alienated players, and he crushed relationships, and so on and so forth. And he was a little toxic. There was toxicity in the locker room and certain stuff like that. Now, if you listen to the entire conversation, he said once he got back there at the very end of it, everything was completely different. But for a while, there was a definite issue there with that. So, yes, I am a little surprised to see Brian Flores being brought up again. Now, he's done a great job with Minnesota's defense this year, but you just gave up 4 rushing touchdowns to Jahmyr Gibbs. You made no adjustments whatsoever the entire ball game.
They got cooked.
I want to see the way, like I said, another thing. We got to see the way this weekend goes. If it goes how I think it will, which is that I think Sam Darnold was on this beautiful, unbelievable little, once in a generation run that you get for an entire season. And what we saw when he got into a hostile environment was he saw ghosts. He saw ghosts the entire time. I was texting about it the entire time from the first half on. His eyes no longer. Detroit is not known for their pass rush, and every time he dropped back, all he was doing was staring at their pass rush the entire time, and then trying to bring his eyes back up and throw a ball downfield. It was one of the worst quarterback performances I've ever seen. Now, like I said, I might be a little bit biased because they did have a significant amount of money on those props, which was unfortunate. But anyway, yeah,
Justin Jefferson's been just feast or famine this year. Yeah. But anyway,
some of the throws that he missed too. JJ wide open in the end zone, overthrows him. Jordan Addison wide open, misses him. I mean, Hawkinson, multiple times. It was bad all around. Very bad all around.
Well, we'll see what the Bears do. So on a good note here, the Bucks do take care of the Saints to secure their playoff position. The last play of the game, Mike Evans secures his 1,000-yard season and his catch totals for a nice $3 million catch. It was great to see. As fans, we sometimes criticize the players, as I have with DJ Moore, and like their attitude and whether or not they're all bought in. I have never, ever once questioned what Mike Evans brings to the table. 11 years, I think it was 11 years, 1,000 yards straight. He missed like 3 or 4 games this year.
4 games this year. Not to mention he missed an entire half against the Ravens. So 4.5, really.
Just an amazing guy, man. And to watch and see the rest of the team immediately come out. Now, this was also a controversial play, if you want to say, because I mean, God forbid the ball gets tipped, you know what I mean? Like, they could have lost the game on that. But, I think Todd Bowles did the absolute right thing for once and let him go through it, let him get it. And that is just going to vault them to the playoffs and the confidence level going in to take on the Commanders this Sunday night in Tampa at 8 p.m.
I agree with you on every part of it. Number one,
shocker.
I think that when you have the ability to do something like that, and from an organizational standpoint, you can tell. Obviously, Bucky Irving scores the touchdown. We're all looking at it, right? Bucks are up by 1. They got the ball. We're like, okay, is Mike going to get this little slant here to get 5 yards, score a touchdown, walk it off, game over? Baker drops back, scrambles, boom, toss it to Bucky. The Bucks are losing the entire game. They didn't play a clean game whatsoever. And then all of a sudden you saw what the fourth quarter was like the last time they played the Saints. But then to come down, to have the defensive stops that they did, to play the way they did at the end. And then I look up and I'm like, okay, we got 32 seconds left. And then you just saw all the meetings, all the minds meeting together on the sideline of like, listen, we're doing this. Okay. Like, I don't care. Go for it. Go get it done. Cohen draws up a play. They get it. Mike goes out, spikes the ball, runs off the field. That's the last play of the game. Nobody called a timeout. Nobody did anything. That was the last play of the game. The entire stadium goes nuts. The entire team together goes absolutely crazy as well too. They had Mike Evans mic'd up as well. If you get a chance on NFL Network, go back, look at the mic'd up part of it, because you get to hear his reaction to exactly what happened in that moment. And you could see Mike a little bit, right? Where Mike was like, come on, guys, like, well, this isn't necessary. But obviously when it happens, it's just like euphoric, dude. And it was a really cool moment for the organization. I agree. It sends a great message to any player that's a free agent that's looking to go somewhere. I don't know if you remember back to the times of when Brady and Gronk were there, and when Gronk needed a catch or two on the last drive to be able to hit his $1 million bonus, and Brady gets it to him. Just like these small little things the organization does, I thought it is really cool, and it gives you all the momentum going into the playoffs as well too. Being back home, getting to play Washington, a team that you started off with the first week of the regular season, to be able to now come full circle. I don't know, just really, really cool. What's good, Crooked Commish?
Do you think what's up, Chris? Bear down, baby. Do you think that the Saints players kind of let him have it too? I mean, we're talking about everyone knows what's happening, bro. Everyone knows what's happening.
Like, I don't.
They gave him like a 4-yard cushion,
and it's obviously offensive PI as well. I mean, they literally, like, the slot receiver just clears the dude out. They run a screen pass 5 yards down the field, which is whatever. But then after it's done, you see the Saints player like forearm shiv Mike, because Mike spiked the ball in his face, and it's like, I don't know. Probably. I mean, I do think there's probably a everybody knew it was going to happen. As soon as they line up in shotgun, you're like, okay, here we go. Which sucks, because the Saints and the Bucks is a real rivalry, and
I guarantee you this.
I don't know.
If Marshawn Lattimore was on that team, no shot he gets it.
I can't believe Cam Jordan allowed it to happen. I cannot believe that Cam Jordan allowed it to happen or didn't say anything after the game.
And that's honestly what I think. Here we go.
Yeah, this is it right here.
Mayfield throwing Evans.
There's some beeps going on.
Jerry Rice has company.
I mean,
to the greatest buck of all time, bro. Without a doubt.
Awesome.
To the greatest buck of all time. Cheers, Mike. Like, good, good for you.
That's
good
big,
for
because I still go back to the Allstott days. Like, as a Bears
Derek
fan,
Brooks worked on.
Loved Allstott.
I mean, I don't think you can argue. I think Mike Evans is the greatest Buccaneer of all time. There's no real other question. If he gets 1,000 yards next year, he's got the record by himself, more than Jerry Rice. He's been
no shot he doesn't get it.
Consistent players ever, and wide receiver wise in NFL history. Super Bowls. The way that he has not only done that, but also stuck up for every single teammate, regardless of whether it was Jameis Winston, Leonard Fournette, Tom Brady. Didn't matter. You said something, you did something. Listen, we were about that action. So, yeah. Love
Absolutely. It. Congratulations. Let's get into it. As we did say, the Bucs are headed home against the Commanders this Sunday night. Let's get into all the playoff action. Let's start right there. We do have Lattimore coming back to Tampa.
We'll start with the top one, because I think if you, whatever, it doesn't matter.
What?
Start with
Where would you like to start with, Jeffrey? Go ahead. Lead us off.
We can start on the left side. Let's start on the AFC.
Okay, go ahead.
Chargers, Texans. Everybody and their mother is going to be taking the Los Angeles Chargers this week.
Including myself.
Including Tyson. I'll be taking the Houston Texans.
Boop.
I thought I saw just a nice way that they finished their season last week. Obviously, they're playing the Tennessee Titans. Not tough. But the way that everybody rallied around everybody, watching certain plays in that game, I just thought was fantastic. I know Tyson has the Chargers. I will take the Texans here, personally.
I just, I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be better than what we thought. I think Jim Harbaugh has Justin Herbert just dialed in. And I don't think that CJ Stroud has the confidence that he once had. I think that he got a little bit broken this year, regardless of what you want to say about injuries. He just doesn't look like the same quarterback. He's a little bit more indecisive. I don't know if he's trying to be too surgical, especially as you said, after the injuries that they've had and the receivers that they don't have. Obviously these things can change. It is at home. It's going to be a very hostile environment for the Chargers. However, again, after watching many, many Houston games, especially when I had Dalton Schultz in the playoffs and watching them get down, I will say this, it's going to be very, very important for the Houston Texans to not get in a hole, because that is one thing that we have seen, or at least I have seen this year from the Houston Texans, is when they get in the hole, they play different. And obviously anybody plays different. However, the passing game is just not what it was, especially with the injuries and, the season-ending injuries that they've had. The weapons, I just don't think are there, especially when it comes playoff time. I think it's still going to be a good game. Let's see, what is the spread here? The spread is 3 to the Chargers, and as Jeff likes to say, they give the home time 3 points. So really it's -6, correct, Jeffrey?
Yeah. Listen, I don't disagree that I think that the Chargers are a great option here, but if you're going to give me a home dog and a playoff game with CJ Stroud, I think Nico Collins is going to have a big game. I do think that the Houston defense will be able to show up here. I think their secondary with Stingley Jr. will be able to kind of cover Ladd McConkey. Now, the whatever you want to call it, the renaissance that we've seen with Quentin Johnson lately has been something that I didn't think would ever be seen again.
He can actually catch a ball.
Did he? How many catches did he have last week? Like 13, 11, something like that.
Hey, man, they're getting him warm at the right time.
Incredible performance. But listen, I like the Texans here for a little rematch against Kansas City, and then obviously Kansas City moving on against the Texans.
So next up, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers going into Baltimore. And to your point of what you just said, I don't know anybody that's going to be taking the Steelers to win outright. They might take them at 9.5, but honestly, I don't even know if it's going to be that close. The Baltimore Ravens are just absolutely rolling right now. Lamar Jackson's out there flicking the wrist for 40 yards. They do have a few injuries. Zay Flowers, I do believe, is questionable in this game. You still got Bateman. You still got Andrews. You still got Henry. And that defense has really showed up the past few weeks. And that was one of the biggest question marks we had about the Baltimore Ravens, is that defense was just so hot and cold. We didn't know which defense was going to show up. Roquan Smith and the boys got they're juiced up. They're ready to go in Baltimore. Different atmosphere. I give me Baltimore by a mile. And this, I think, also will signal the end of the Mike Tomlin era in Pittsburgh.
Possibly. I think that
I guess the one thing that I'm sorry to cut you off there. One thing that I heard, because we've always said mediocre Mike, right? And there's a lot of Pittsburgh fans that are calling for change because it is mediocre Mike. And this is something that I don't know. Maybe this is my uninformed fan coming through. But when we talk about coaching trees and the great coaches that have produced these numerous head coaches or offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators, who is under, and this was a question that I had somebody ask, I don't know. I mean, who is under the Mike Tomlin tree? Who has he produced?
Nobody.
I mean, I think, to me, Mike Tomlin is a great motivator, disciplinarian, setting the standards, enforcing the standards, things of that nature. And maybe that is what a head coach is. I don't know. I think that it's more of, you can just say it's the Andy Reid situation from Philadelphia, right? Andy Reid, everybody knows how good he was. He couldn't get it done in in Philadelphia. They move on. He gets hired in Kansas City the 2 seconds later. Now he's won 3 Super Bowls over there. Great success. I think it's kind of the same thing. I don't know if you're going to see the success that he might have leaving Pittsburgh, but I think it's just the same thing. I think it's 18 years. It's been a long ass time there. I think it's just ready for some fresh blood in Pittsburgh.
I agree, but I just don't see it happening. They don't get rid of coaches, especially when they make the playoffs. They'll have some argument. I saw him say something this week about maybe it might be time to go back to Justin Fields for a little bit in this game. It's just, I don't know.
They should have went to Justin Fields 2 games ago, in my opinion, because people have figured out the Russell Wilson deal, right? He's got one thing. He drops a teardrop. If Pickens isn't open, boom, he can't do it. The scrambles is there, but he's not as quick as Justin Fields, right? I mean, we've seen some scrambles that Russell Wilson's had of 10 to 15 yards that we all know if Justin Fields was in the ball, that would have been 30, 40, maybe even a touchdown. You know, it's the Lamar Jackson when you watch him scramble and all of a sudden he flicks his head one way, his legs go the other, and the guy breaks his ankles trying to pick him up. But yeah, Baltimore by a mile. That's a cakewalk. That is pretty much a buy in my opinion. I'm sorry, Pittsburgh, and I hope that you guys show up because I do want to see some good games in this playoffs as I have no skin in the game. But I do believe that this is going to be a walk-off performance. You might even see the rest in the fourth quarter.
And then we agree on Buffalo, right? It's a wild take.
That is a wild take. It's a wild take. I think you're going to see an upset. I really do. I don't think anybody. I think the Broncos have been sneaky good. I think that to what you brought up in the past, that defense is something special. The corners are absolutely locking down. Put a spy on Josh Allen to make sure that he doesn't beat you with his legs. I don't know if they're going to win outright, but I think it's a good cover. And honestly, everyone's counting them out. I never count out Sean Payton.
I'll say this. I do agree their defense is incredible. The defense will continue to be incredible next year. I think that this is not a great matchup for them because Surtain is a shutdown corner when he yeah, I agree. Denver linebackers in the middle of the field are weak. Josh's going to exploit the middle of the field. That's my biggest thing is that when Surtain is going to shadow somebody, right, or lock one person down, the thing is that I don't think Buffalo really has a number one. So I don't think there's like a guy there that Surtain is going to need to shadow the entire game and run back and forth on. You know, when you have Amari, when you have Keon, when you have Samuel, when you have Shakir, when you have Knox and Kincaid at tight end, and then not to mention James Cook, I just think even if they get pressure, Josh will be able to step up in the pocket and make his legs work. I don't see Denver having a chance here. It's Bo Nix's first playoff game, and you're going to give me his first playoff game in Buffalo in that environment in the freezing cold. No, thank you whatsoever. I'm
Gotta have an upset week one, baby. This is what I'm rolling with.
We'll get to it. Some other ones I think that could happen, but I respect your opinion on this, but absolutely not. I do not see Denver beating Buffalo in Buffalo strictly because of environment. And strictly, and listen, maybe, but man, Espinosa can spy Nix, you know, and that's been a big thing for Bo Nix as well too. So I don't know. Listen, it's a strong take.
Do we know what the weather's
respect the strong take, but it's going to be cold, Tyson. I can tell you.
Is it going to snow? Is weather going to be involved?
Tyson, the high here in Florida on Sunday is like 58. So I can only imagine what the high is going to be in fucking Buffalo. Like, that's going to be a little serious.
NFL wild card games. Let's see here.
It is interesting though, because then you know, if that does come to fruition, then you do have Denver playing Kansas City, who has played Kansas City tough, and then the Chargers playing Baltimore, which does give Baltimore a little bit more of an interesting path. I think my problem is that if that upset doesn't happen and you have the Chargers or the Texans playing Kansas City's definitely winning that game. Then you move on to the Baltimore and the Buffalo.
Hold on. Let's not get ahead of ourselves here.
Well, I am because the matchups will be different based off of what happens here. And to me,
so if Buffalo wins,
if it's Buffalo, Baltimore, right? I take Buffalo all day in that situation. I definitely think Buffalo moves on to play Kansas City. Baltimore, we always see
not
it,
a chance in hell.
There becomes a moment where the moment becomes not well for Lamar Jackson, right? Passes are missed, things happen, and I just see, and I still have a problem with Baltimore's defense. And I think Josh Allen, you know, listen, you don't think the NFL wants this game, Baltimore Buffalo, with all the MVP talk going on the entire year? You don't think they want to see those two face up against each other and see what happens? I would agree. To settle a debate. I mean, that's a huge ratings number for NFL right there. So
I would agree. And to your point of what you just made, you made some great points about Lamar Jackson. And that is why he's not going to fail this year, because he's been there and done that. He's had the expectations. That team has shrunk in the moment. And it's not going to happen 3 times. I just don't.
For me, and listen, and I understand you can play the odds the other way. That's what we do, right? We say that, statistically, this is an anomaly that will not happen over and over and over again. And so let's go ahead and fade it and play it the other way. I get all that. But personally, right now, I have to go with what I've seen in front of me. And it's okay in the first round. The second round is where we start to fall apart a little bit for Lamar. So,
which is amazing to me because you shit on Josh Allen all year long.
I didn't say he's making the Super Bowl. I didn't shit on Josh Allen all year long. I shit on Josh Allen to start the year. And then once they traded for Amari Cooper, I think that completely changed that team because it forced everybody to focus everywhere. You couldn't just focus on Keon and Shakir. Now you have Amari Cooper, one of the best route runners and best hands in the entire NFL. Everybody got healthy. Kincaid came back. Cook is healthy. Their running back stable is good. Yeah, the Giants were not good this year. But listen, better days are ahead. Not next year, because you still have Schoen and I love Dayball, by the way. Love Dayball. I think
I'm glad that they kept. For the record, it's 28 degrees with a 13% chance of snow in Buffalo.
It's not going to snow.
Yeah. Well, again, Denver knows the weather. I don't think that it's going to be that big of an impact. I
don't think Denver understands what they're about to get into.
I think Denver understands fully, and if Denver doesn't, Sean Payton definitely does.
Okay.
You can't tell me Sean Payton doesn't know what he's getting into. They're going to be pumping in sound. They're going to be doing all kinds of stuff. So let's say this for a minute. Let's go do this. Let's just say that
Florida Wowzers.
I'm from Illinois.
But he's from Illinois. I'm born
and raised, but we're down in Florida. Let's just say, okay, so if my thing comes through, Denver actually knocks off Buffalo, that goes Denver to Kansas City. That's obviously an easy Kansas City win. So let's go back here to this. Let's say that Buffalo wins. Okay, so we get the matchup that we want here. And obviously, I think we're both going to say Kansas City no matter what, correct?
Yeah.
If Kansas City plays whomever out of that seed, the lower seed, I don't care who it is. Kansas City
wins first game for sure.
And then I know Jeffrey likes Buffalo here, but I'm going with Lamar. I think this is the year that Lamar gets the chip. He's going to get snubbed off the MVP, which to me I think is an absolutely crazy idea, considering he's put up better numbers than any of his other MVPs. He's outpaced Josh Allen in total touchdowns, outpaced him in yards, completion, QBR, the whole 9 yards, and they're still going to give it to Josh Allen. So give me Baltimore there. I know that Jeffrey, you like Buffalo there as well, correct?
This is I need more information before this game starts to go ahead and pick something like officially. But I don't mind either way you go on this. I think that both narratives set up very well. Wowzers, we appreciate all the comments for you, and all the credit goes to Tyson for the logo that he put on there for the uninformed fan. He was the brainchild behind it. So any props has to go to him. Listen, either Baltimore or Buffalo, either or. I think it's going to be an incredible matchup, assuming that we get there. Assuming that Denver doesn't upset Buffalo like you think might happen. Either way, I don't mind it. I don't think either of them beat Kansas City. I don't.
So you have Kansas City in the Super Bowl coming out of the AFC?
Yes.
All right. I'm going Baltimore no matter what. I guess it's once again because obviously I had Lamar Jackson as my fantasy quarterback who won me fantasy football this year. Shout out to you, Lamar. I've watched pretty much every one of his games, and I have seen a progression from him. There was times over the last year, especially to your point, the bigger the moment, and even during the regular season when he would make some throws and you could just see the dejection on his face. You could just see he didn't understand why either the receiver wasn't where he's supposed to be or why he threw that ball. This year, when I seen him with some of the misses, he realizes the mistake right off the rip. He's smiling now, and he is making some of these plays look so damn easy that he's making some of these amazing throws, amazing teardrop down we see Bateman go absolutely nuts in the corner of the end zones, deep in the end zones. Zay Flowers is zigzagging. They just literally brought in Mark Andrews, and then you add Derrick Henry behind there. And if any time during this run where we see maybe Lamar regresses a little bit, you just hand it off to Derrick Henry. and let him get things stabilized. I think Derrick Henry is going to be the calming factor this year. I think it's not going to be so much pressure on him. Keaton Mitchell is also becoming back into the mix a little bit. We saw how explosive he was last year. Not sure how much he's going to be used in the playoffs, but it's also a thing. I think that the Baltimore run game this year is going to be able to take the pressure off of Lamar that he's had the previous 2 years, that he had to do everything by himself. And I think that you're going to see an amazing Baltimore team in this playoffs. I don't see anybody stopping Baltimore, but maybe to your point, maybe it is Buffalo if they get past Bo Nix.
Yeah, I think it's going to be, well, and listen, if there's one place that you're going to beat Kansas City right now, I think it's the secondary, just because they've been so banged up on the outside so far. Baltimore hasn't been great as well either against the pass this year. If you look at a lot of their games, that's where they've really been susceptible. And you would think with Marlon Humphrey and Kyle Hamilton, that would be a different story. So, yeah, I mean, I could see this game going either way. I guess if I'm going to compare what I like more, I would like Kansas City's receivers against Baltimore's secondary, right? If you're going to give me, Worthy, Hollywood Brown, if you're going to give me, DeAndre Hopkins and Travis Kelce and Watson and Gray and those guys, and then Patrick Mahomes as well too, I'm probably going to always take Kansas City in that role. So yeah, I agree. Chiefs cornerbacks have been terrible this year, but also I do think that Baltimore hasn't been great against the pass. They've been a little bit better lately, for sure, but I don't think they've been great against the pass either. And that's why I think that the matchup is tough for Baltimore when it comes to both Kansas City and Buffalo. I agree. Buffalo doesn't have the most amazing weapons, but as a whole, all together with them, I would put them up there with obviously the Bengals are an anomaly, right? You have T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. They're not. Yes, that was the one. I told you I had the Bengals-Eagles Super Bowl ticket that I was holding on to, hoping for that to happen. But, Kansas City came out. There's no way that Kansas City wanted any part of Cincinnati to be in the playoffs this year and have a chance to maybe have to face them. So,
Jose, love the logo. Love the logo. I know you got in here late, but I am picking your Denver Broncos over the Buffalo Bills. Yeah. To Mark's point here, Josh and Lamar, so everything I said, yes, you're probably 100% right. And I guess the eyeball test is that I just haven't watched as much of Josh Allen as I did of Lamar. As I said, he was obviously, I was interested in my fantasy. I have seen a lot of the highlights to the point. I just feel like Lamar maybe has a few more weapons. I mean, obviously Josh Allen has Amari Cooper, which is probably better than any one receiver that Lamar Jackson has. But who does he have after that? Shaquille, the speedster, right? What's his name?
Oh, Khalil Shakir.
Yeah, Khalil Shakir, that's their speedster, right?
They have Samuel as well too. Curtis Samuel's in that range as well. They got some decent pass catching running backs as well. So
let's ride, Jose. Let's ride, baby. Bo and Sean Payton taking down the Buffalo Bills.
I absolutely love what they've done, and I was a big criticizer of the Broncos after last year, and I love what they've done going forward. So yeah, listen, kudos to you guys, man.
So Jeffrey is going to take the Kansas City Chiefs to represent the AFC. I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens. Now let's get over to the NFC side. Let's start at the top. Minnesota heading to LA. That was a pretty crazy drop, right? You had the chance to play for the number 1 seed, and you end up with the 5 seed. What a world. Earlier in the show, Jeff, you mentioned, Sam Darnold shrinking and, coming up with googly eyes, blind eyes, couldn't see the open field, missing Justin Jefferson, missing.
We're seeing ghosts again.
Jordan Addison on the open. I don't think that this is going to be any different. We're going to go against a Sean McVay team that's obviously coached well. You have Matt Stafford, that is the tried and true veteran that we have. You have Puka Nacua. You have Cooper Kupp, who hasn't shown up the last 3 weeks. But you know what? To me, that's just like when you keep an extra clip in your back pocket. So when you're you finish shooting your first 17 bullets, you can go ahead and just reload real quick. And if you try to take out Puka Nacua, guess who's going to be there? Cooper Kupp is going to be there. That's it. And Matt Stafford, give me Matt Stafford over Sam Darnold all day long. I am taking the LA Rams over Minnesota. It's been a Cinderella season for Minnesota, but the clock has struck midnight. Time to get your back into the pumpkin and get back home scrubbing the floors where you belong.
I tend to agree with you. Now, I will say this. I feel like it's going to set up very similar in terms of the Lions and the Rams. The way that their defense is going to play out. And obviously both these coaches are going to know each other very, very well as you have them coming from the exact same system and scheme. The Rams, they've been great this year with Braden Fisk and Jared Verse. They've gotten really good pressure. They've been two of the favorites to win Defensive Rookie of the Year this year. Both Verse coming off the edge. And it just seemed like to me, as hurt as Detroit's front line and secondary was, the fact that they weren't able to take advantage of that, and it was all, in my opinion, on, we always talk about, is there actual pressure or is there perceived pressure that then the quarterback then runs into or fucks up on or whatever it is. To me, it was Sam Darnold having perceived pressure where it wasn't actual pressure. He could have stepped up. He could have sidestepped. He could have moved the pocket a little bit, made a better decision. He didn't. And this game is going to come down to almost $100 million for Sam Darnold, if you think about it, right?
Oh,
if Sam
100%.
Darnold comes out and he's from SoCal, if he comes out and he plays well and they beat the Rams and they beat Matt Stafford and Sean McVay, then boom, you're in line to get a contract from the Minnesota Vikings next year. If you come out and you don't play well and this doesn't happen for you, all of a sudden, does anybody even want you anymore? You know, we just saw what happens in crunch time. It's not like it's going to be a hostile environment either. It's not like, there's not going to be tons of Rams fans. I'm sure we're going to hear skull chants the entire time. I'm sure that we're going to, not see an overwhelming amount of Rams fans. So then it comes down to scheme.
I don't know about that. And the only reason why I say that is
you think so?
The reason why I was saying that is because I can't remember whatever the last game that they played. I can't remember who I was watching. I don't know why I was watching it. But it was a Rams home game, and it was they were full with Rams fans. And usually, to your point, you're 100% right. This is not a home field advantage in LA, but I have seen more and more Rams fans showing up. To your point, I do. You are going to hear some skull chants. You are 100%. For sure. I don't think it's going to be as bad as Tampa versus Dallas in Brady's final game, where 40 to 50% of the stands are opposite people. I don't see that. Yeah, that was a disgrace to everything and me giving up floor seats to watch the Bulls to go down there and watch that shit. That still is a very, very stick in my craw.
Why did we never link up that game? We were both there.
We don't link up ever, Jeffrey. You never reach out to me anymore. It is what it is. We're paper friends now, I think is what you call it. Paper friends. And tried to meet up and have some beers this weekend too. Paper friends.
I didn't get out until 2 minutes left in the fourth. I had a nice little Sunday with Costco and Target and Walmart.
So I got LA over this one. To your point as well, though, with the Sam Darnold contract situation, I think that there's a way that Sam Darnold can lose the game and still get a contract. And that is if you still play well, but the team doesn't lose because of you. I think that you can still get that contract, a 31 to 28 game, where maybe Matt Stafford comes down and puts him in field goal. I think there's definitely some layers to this. Then, of course, you have the J.J. McCarthy, in the background. All of these teams wanting quarterbacks. You could potentially sign Sam Darnold to a 3-year deal, something of that nature, and trade the J.J. McCarthy as well. A lot of interesting things coming on in Minnesota, but I think the Cinderella is over there. Let's head down.
I agree. And listen, there was a comment from
that's facts, Mark. There will be no Broncos chance in Buffalo.
There will not be any Broncos chance.
Will not be. There'll be Broncos fans there, 100%.
Jose, I completely agree with this. If you're looking for a nice over to bet, 47.5 seems like it should be fine. But I'll be honest with you, Jose. I thought the over in the Lions and Vikings game was going to be a great bet as well, too. And I just cannot believe what I saw from Sam Darnold. I'm still I need
to see how many bets tickets are on the over. If it's 80% on the over, then I will 100% take the under. Because it does. It seems like the obvious pick. What is the over under for that game, you asked, Jeffrey? It is
47.5.
So
24-24 is a winner. I could for sure see that happening, especially with how high powered both these offenses will be, and especially with the familiarity for the defenses going against both these offenses as well too. So
and Mark, usually I will agree with you, especially going to see Tampa games, because Tampa, like LA, is a transient city, right? A lot of people move there. A lot of people bring in from other teams. However, I've
we've dealt with our whole life.
I think it might have been the LA San Francisco game that I was watching, that it was definitely dominating LA fans. Let's move down to sunny Tampa, where we take the Washington Commanders, Jaden Daniels in his amazing rookie season, and against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans continue to put stuff in the oven. I'll tell you what, the first thing I saw when I knew that the Bucs were going to make it to the playoffs is, my God, I wish they had Chris Godwin. Because if they had Chris Godwin, I wouldn't give Washington a punter's chance, as Jeffrey says, in this game whatsoever. Let's keep the profanity off the screen, please. That strikes our YouTube. I wish we had Chris Godwin for this game. And you know what, Todd Bowles, I will never forgive you. I don't care what Jeffrey says. You cost him. You cost him. You cost him. You cost him. However, as we just talked about with Minnesota, Cinderella's time has come up on the Washington Commanders. The one thing that I think that is going to be the wild card in this game, as we talked about, is Lattimore versus Evans in the playoffs. Is this something that we've seen before or not?
In the playoffs?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so they have gone against each other in the playoffs.
Well, even so, if we're all to refresh memories, all right. The Bucs, Brady's first year when they won the Super Bowl, the Bucs did not win the division. The Saints did, and they had to go on the road for every single game to get to the Super Bowl, and they ended up playing the New Orleans Saints. I believe first week, I want to say. They had to go in there, and yeah, that was a Mike Evans versus Marshawn Lattimore game. Look, say what you want. Evans has got the best of them lately. It's always hostile. There's always a fight.
It's going to be must-see TV. And Mark, to your point, McMillan has been stepping up, and definitely. But could you imagine if they had Chris Godwin as well? Bucky Irving, what a spotlight! What a kid! You got Rashad White and Bucky Irving as a 1-2 combo behind the backfield. I think that rivals most every running back room, including Detroit's at the moment. Baker Mayfield is the wild card. And that's all I'm going to say about it. Baker Mayfield, obviously, we've watched so much over the past couple of years. It seems to be feast or famine. One of the things I do love about him is what I said I didn't like about Caleb Williams trying to protect the ball in that stupid INT record. Baker Mayfield will thread the needle. He will put the ball where he thinks only his player can get it. Sometimes that does cause interceptions. But you know what? I love the aggressiveness. I love the fire. You know, even the fire that I saw out of him standing over the Saints guy after he, got ran over. You can't not like Baker Mayfield in Tampa. However, I think the game completely rests on him. I think that Todd Bowles' defense is going to get scorched by Washington Commanders. So Baker, you're going to have to put up some numbers as well. I think this is another one. Obviously, the total is the highest of any of the wild card at 50.5. I think that blows through pretty easy, actually.
So obviously I have a significant bias here being a diehard Bucs fan. But I will say this. I think the X factor to me is going to be Bucky Irving. Is going to be, can you have sustained drives and keep Washington off the field? I also think that Vita Vea is somebody on defense. And now we just got Antoine Winfield Jr. back last week. He was on a little bit of a snap count. He should be back fully ready to go. At the safety position, he's one of the guys who, listen, if you follow the Bucs Super Bowl wise, winning divisions, so on and so forth, he's one of the most important players on our team as well.
Is car wreck guy back?
Who, Jordan Whitehead?
Whoever got in the car wreck.
He's out for the year. He broke a vertebrae in his back. Yeah. So he's done for the year. His career might be over too. He was a late signee that we got off of the Jets, I believe.
Do you know anything about the accident?
Yeah, he was cited for making a left. It was a normal traffic citation. It was at 9:30 in the morning.
So he was at fault.
He was on his way to the Bucs facility. The other person did not sustain any life-threatening injuries, but it was a T-bone incident, making a left-hand turn on a light. From what I understand.
But it was his fault.
I believe he was cited for whatever.
Well, all I was gonna say, bro, if you end an NFL player's career, holy shit, dude! The lawsuits are gonna be flying all over the place.
I believe he was the one that was cited for that. From what I read, and if you ever have any questions, Greg Allman on X is one of the best follows when it comes to anything NFC South. Really fantastic. So definitely make sure to follow him on there. He had the whole link about it and talking about it as well.
One tweet a week.
Who?
Nothing. Please
Greg
go ahead.
Allman?
I was making a jab that the AFC or the NFC South absolutely sucks, and he probably has one tweet a week. That's all.
Oh, well, whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So on and so forth. Yeah, listen, I think at the end of the day, though, this game will come down to the Bucs have won the division now 4 years in a row. This is their fourth division title in a row, fifth year in a row going to the playoffs. You have guys on that team who are in the playoffs every single year. They understand what to expect. They've been there before. All the captains, all the leaders, they've all been there before. I think when it comes down to a situation like this on a Sunday night in a football game, there will become a moment where you have to keep your cool about you, where you have to understand the moment and what's going on. And I think the Bucs have the distinct advantage here. I think both teams are very equal. And I wouldn't be surprised whoever has the ball last ends up winning this game. I can't ever doubt Jaden Daniels. But as somebody who has watched the Bucs beat most of these teams, or at least play most of these teams pretty close this year, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take the Bucs in this instance to beat the Commanders again.
And now the biggest question is going to be: will you and Ian be together watching this game?
I believe so.
Would this be at the local watering hole?
I believe so.
Am I allowed to come?
I believe so.
Oh,
Now, I will say this. I don't know how long you'll last, like your wife says, because it is going to be pretty cold outside. I think the high on that day is like 57 degrees. So you're talking about at kickoff, it's probably going to be in the 40s, and we're going to be outside at a bar. So whatever.
Well, believe it or not, I have a nice warm Kyle Trask jersey that will keep me warm.
I love that for you.
I'm wearing it, baby.
I'm sure I'm going to have 5 or 6 layers on. That's just the way it is here in Florida. I know most of you guys aren't from Florida who are in the chat right now. We appreciate you for being here and commenting. Thank you so much. But yeah, we are. Listen, we're not very cold-blooded in Florida.
No.
It's not
as Jeremy said, those things that blood was drained years ago.
Yeah.
Let's move on to Philadelphia as we wrap up the NFC side. The Green Bay is headed into Philadelphia now. Before, I would have said Philadelphia is just an absolute lock here. Again, I have no respect for the Packers. Fuck the Packers. I have no. I will never pick the Packers. I hope that they get decimated. I hope the entire team is injured for the rest of their life. Give me the Eagles. I don't care if Jalen Hurts doesn't play or not. I say Kenny Pickett can beat them up and down the field. I don't care. You still have A.J. Brown. You still have Devontae Smith. You still have that Eagles defense. And guess what? Jordan Love, you are an absolute fraud. You will get buried 6 feet into the ground. I hope Jalen Carter doesn't hurt you, but I hope that you feel pain.
I really want to go the other way here. I really want to take the Packers. You know how much I'm a Packers fan. I'm a fan of the organization. I'm a fan of everything they do. I'm a fan of Matt LaFleur. I'm a fan of Jordan Love. I think the way that they've handled everything has been with just the utmost class and everything like that. That being said, I would love to take the Packers here. However, mainly because I love to take the Packers because I'd love to have another home game in Tampa. But I will go ahead and take the Eagles with you as well, too. I think that you're right. The defense is just going to be too much. And I see
Christian Watson, not that he was a factor, but he's done for the year.
Well, I think the biggest thing is that Josh Jacobs is the best player on their offense. And I think what you're going to see is them just try to absolutely take that away.
Yeah, they're going to make Jordan Love beat him. And Jordan Love is not.
Yeah. And then the fact that their secondary is so deep. At safety and at corner, they're really, really good. They can create pressure with 4. They can run man coverage. They can single guys out and still be able to cover. They're really, really good. And so, yes, I will go ahead and take the Eagles as well, too.
Surprised that it's only 4.5. I guess I'm assuming that is just a.
We don't know what's going to happen with Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts scare. But as Mark already brought up, you still have Saquon Barkley in the backfield, bro. And I haven't seen anything out of that defensive line out of the Packers to suggest they're going to stop Saquon Barkley.
Correct.
So just run the ball. Kenny Pickett will do what Kenny Pickett does. You run the ball, run it down their throats. Eventually, the Packers are going to have to stack the box, and then you just need Kenny Pickett to make a throw here and there. That's it. You don't need him to manage a game. You don't need him to hit the deep balls. You don't need him little crossing routes, whatever. Suck that defense in. Suck those linebackers in. Hit it over the middle. Let your receivers do the work for you, Kenny Pickett. You are not a hero. You are not a hero. Play the game the way you need to play the game. Hand the ball off. Anything to wrap up on that one? Okay.
No.
Well, let's go back up top. Now we have LA and Detroit. Now, this one, to me, is going to be very sneaky. This one's going to be sneaky.
You know which way I'm going here.
I'm assuming you're going Rams.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. I think that this is just a team of destiny this year. And that's the only reason. I think that the Detroit injuries are just too much. I really do. But with that being said, Detroit has too many weapons on the offensive side. I think that they are going to get Montgomery back for this game. And I think with Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, I think you just have too much of a run potential there. The offensive line is still good. Obviously, all of the problems from Detroit is on the defensive side of the ball, right? With like 28 people on IR, you got people that are being pulled off the streets of Detroit, putting down the chicken baskets. They're shaking the fries at McDonald's, and all of a sudden now they're in there blocking, right? So the Detroit Lions defense is in shambles, but the offense can overcome it. Riverboat Dan, he's going to go for it when he needs to go for it. He reads it. He knows what he has in his defense. You said the same thing. You know, when you went for it on certain times, like obviously you have no faith in your defense. He knows what's up. He knows what's up, right? So again, I think that one could be an absolutely high scoring game there. 100%.
Yeah, well, I think that was the Green Bay game where he went for it on whatever it was, 4th and 3, when he could have kicked the field goal.
Like his own.
Up. Yeah. I like the Rams here. I think the biggest weakness for Detroit is their secondary and their ability to get pressure before. I think if you look at Sean McVay and Matt Stafford, I also think that there is a beautiful underlying storyline here, which is Matt Stafford coming back to Detroit and having a chance to end this Detroit run, if you will. And I know Detroit, and I've loved Detroit for a couple of years. They've always been the darling, right? They've been like the underdog that we all want to root for, and we all want to win because of the city and because of everything like that. But I think I think Matt Stafford has a certain killer instinct where he doesn't care about going in there and ripping the hearts out of Lions fans and sending them on their way. So, listen,
I am curious.
He had an opportunity. He had an opportunity to do it last year, and he didn't get it done. He's got an opportunity to do it this year now with them more fully healthy, with Kyron Williams, with Puka Nacua, and with Cooper Kupp to be able to go in and get it done. Give me the Rams.
I am curious to see, Jeremy, I put it in the chat. I don't know if you saw. I'm curious to see, do we know what the average of how many points the Rams have allowed this season? I think it's a lot. If I'm not mistaken.
I don't think.
I know they've had a couple. I know they've had a couple close games, but like I said, I just feel like the Detroit offense is going to be able to overcome the defense in that game to be able to get it done. So let's move down to the bottom. Tampa Bay going against the Philadelphia Eagles. This one is going to be stinky. This one would, to me, 100% hinge on whether or not Jalen Hurts is back. I don't think Todd Bowles' defense can stop the Eagles. I think I just don't think they can, as much as I want them to, as much as of a homer pick. I guess that would be. I don't see it.
Give me the Bucks.
Of course.
Now, I will say this: this matchup is completely different from earlier in the year. And listen, the reason I do think the Bucks have a long shot to maybe make a run here, they already beat the Lions in the regular season this year. They already beat Philly in the regular season this year. I do have Kansas City going to the Super Bowl and the Bucks going to the Super Bowl. Bucks lost obviously to Kansas City in overtime because they didn't get the ball. They lost the coin toss. Obviously, the Baltimore game was a little bit farther away than what we would have liked, but that's the game where Godwin injures himself. They're trying to get back in the game there at the very last minute. So, I will say this: this is a different team, Philly is, than what you played earlier in the year. I don't know though. This Bucks team is kind of special. But
it is.
I will say this:
it'll depend on who's playing. And to your point, it's very hard to beat the same team twice in a year.
Yeah. I think for me, betting wise, I think there's two teams that I'm going to take to make it all the way. All right. When I say all the way, to make it to the Super Bowl, one is going to be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The other one will be the Philadelphia Eagles. Simple reason, right? This game right here, let's say Tampa does win, right? And let's say they get to go play Detroit and whatever. I don't think Detroit's defense is where it needs to be. They have too many injuries. I just think that eventually it will catch up to them, right? Let's say LA wins, right? And let's say Philly wins. Well, now you have a guy who doesn't perform well outside in Matt Stafford, who's going to have to go to Philly, who they can single cover both those receivers and play. I love Philly in that game then, so I think for me, I'm going to take 2-1, and that means I'm going to take I'll bet Bucks Chiefs exacto. I'll bet Eagles Chiefs exacto, and we'll kind of see what happens there.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, to me, it just depends. They need Jalen Hurts has to play against the Bucks, in order for them to have a chance. That's just the way it is for me.
I think Jalen Hurts might play this week, but
he might. But I wouldn't. I mean, of course, if he's good, right? I mean, we're talking about a concussion, so we're not talking about like an actual injury. So yeah, I mean, we're talking about
an actual injury. What I mean,
no, but I mean, it's not like I mean, obviously it's clear, but like I said, you can injure your arm, right? And it can be sore, and you can play through it, but you don't really play through a head injury, right? I mean, it's just one of those things. I don't know. So if Philadelphia does move on. Give me Detroit. I'm sorry. Give me Philadelphia. Give me the Baltimore Eagles, the Philadelphia Eagles in Super Bowl. This is obviously a way ahead look. And then give me the Baltimore Ravens. To Mark's point, the Ravens did allow 386 points with a 19-point differential, 23 points a game. That's where I think it's going to be the issue come that game is the Detroit Lions will put up at least 31 on that team. So,
yeah, but I think the Rams can put up 40.
Good.
Legitimately.
That's why we play the game. And of course, we will update these as we go. Jeffrey's is a little bit different than mine. This is going to be mine to start with. Actually, let me change. So this is mine. Let me change this so we can screen grab it. And that way we can get Jeffrey's. Jeffrey has the Chargers Houston over the Chargers, correct?
Yes.
You have the Ravens and the Buffs right here.
Yes. Yep. Yep.
So then you have Chiefs,
Buffalo.
Okay, over here you had this Tampa Bay, obviously Green Bay, Tampa Bay. So you have Tampa Bay going to the Super Bowl.
I swap in Philly. Put Philly in there.
Whoa!
Well, like officially, like I think Tampa has a shot. Yes, but like if I'm gonna be on record for what I think is gonna win, I'll take Philly. Now, listen, Tampa Bay has beat Philly like the past 5 games in a row or something like that. It's really really weird. But yeah. Anyway.
So you're saying the Chiefs 3-peat?
Yep.
Yeah, there it is. That's going to be it for the playoff challenge. So we shall see. It's going to be a lot of interesting games. I think it's something that we're all kind of looking forward to. Definitely going to be better than the college playoffs, which we've seen so far. Just a real quick thing. We did have a couple more coaches fired this week, which makes 6 total this year. Gerard Mayo fired from the Patriots. I think me and Jeffrey both agree that was just a lame duck coach.
Fucking terrible, dude.
I don't understand. Obviously, there had some things that that he did that was not necessarily, MVP coach worthy. I guess I don't know if you call it that. So we'll see what happens there. Doug Peterson out of the Jags. That's when we talked about Ben Johnson potentially, being in there, giving the keys to the kingdom. Antonio Pierce, a little bit of a late fire. I think this one was yesterday. Very, very interesting to hear that Tom Brady is going to be involved in the head coaching process. Involved in the interviews. I don't know. I'm getting a little crazy on a little bit. I don't know, timid on Brady. One, I don't think that he's a great announcer. I mean, I know that it seems like he's starting to come into his ways a little bit.
He's getting better.
He's getting better. I'm not saying that, but he's no Greg Olson. He's no Tony Romo. And those two guys to me are the top of the player / turned into. And I'm not saying that Brady can't get there. I'm just saying it looks to me like he's really forcing conversations at some point and really searching for a conversation versus from shooting from the hip. We'll see if that changes. But the fact that he is involved in the head coach, I don't know, man. I don't know how I feel about that. Because obviously Brady played at a different level. Brady has a different mentality than I would say 99% of all of the NFL players out there. I'm very, very curious as to what Tom Brady is going to want out of his head coach. Is there a head coach out there that Tom Brady thinks is better than him? I guess is my question.
Well, Tom Brady is a businessman. Can we agree with that?
He's a businessman.
He's a businessman.
He's no Rick Ross.
I would be interested to see if there was a way, I know I mentioned this pre-show, if there's a way that they could get Deion, Shador, and Travis all on the same team. You're talking about moving from 5 to 1, probably to get Travis Hunter, right? Because the Titans, I don't think take Cam Ward, maybe, but I don't know. So you're talking about moving up 4 spots in the draft to get Travis Hunter. Shador, I don't think is going to be that highly coveted, and so I think you'd be able to.
It's gonna be Cam Ward.
Be able to slide back in somewhere middle first and get Shador. And you could keep that thing rolling in together. And it'd be, they would be must-see TV. They'd be on every single week. I would hate it, personally.
I think they get creamed in the NFL. We've seen them get who would they play in the bowl game?
I think Travis Hunter is going to be absolutely fine in the NFL.
I would agree with that, possibly.
I think Travis Hunter is a generational talent. I think there's a reason he was the number 1 player coming out of high school. I think there's a reason that he was so hyped up. I think there's a reason that he's able to play both ways like he does.
BYU. BYU curb stomped them.
Yeah.
You're talking about 3 NFL players on offense. And how many, right?
Who's the third?
Travis Hunter.
Yeah, Shador Sanders.
And who's the other one?
I don't know.
Horn.
Okay.
I thought they had 3. Don't they have 2 Sanders on there?
Horn's good. Shiloh plays DB, and he's not making an NFL roster. Maybe for like clout or whatever. But
so basically, you had two NFL top 5 picks, and basically your quarterback and your wide receiver, and you got curb stomped by BYU.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think it'd be interesting.
I think that it's a little bit, to your point, they could be completely successful over there. And I hope they are. I don't want anybody to not be. I just think it's going to be a big difference going from that conference, the way that they played those teams, into the NFL. And I'm sure Deion knows the same thing. And I'm sure Deion has probably coached him to that.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing, to your point, is the Tennessee Titans. So just going through that, the first 5 picks, you have the Titans, Browns, Giants, and Patriots. We all know the Giants are going to be clamoring to grab somebody. The question is going to be who. And for your point, from the Raiders to go up to 6 to 1, there's going to be a heavy, heavy package involved, which we talked about. And I could see the Tennessee Titans possibly trading with number 6, as you said. Give me Max Crosby. Yeah. Give me your number 1 this year. Yeah. Give me your number 1 next year, and give me your number 2 after that.
Well, it wouldn't be the number 1 this year, because you'd be keeping the number 1 to go to number 1. But
you would go from 1 to 6.
Correct. Yeah. So they would move back to 6, and then you'd get multiple picks and Max Crosby to be able to make that happen. I don't know if it's worth it but like I said, I do think if you're looking at from a strictly ratings perspective of, Tom Brady saying, okay, listen, we're in division. Our entire roster needs to be upgraded. We're going to be playing 3 teams that all made the playoffs for the next foreseeable future, and the Chiefs, who might win the Super Bowl, and the Broncos, who have all the promise in the absolute world, and of the Chargers, who now have Harbaugh, who have turned it around. Well, let me make my game must-see TV as well, division-wise. So I don't know if there is that thought process that could go into it as well.
You know what I think is an interesting tidbit when it comes to this is that Brady is going to be involved in the team that could potentially stop Mahomes from beating his records. That's got to be priority number 1, right? I need to stay the GOAT, because I'm telling you right now, if Patrick Mahomes wins the 3-peat here, and that'll be his fourth championship. Yeah. His 4th Super Bowl, only 2 behind, and he did the 3-peat. He's already knocking at the door.
I think one difference that we're going to have here is going to be, we watched head-to-head. We watched them play head-to-head against each other, and Tom Brady won. So
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, bro. As you're telling me,
when we have the argument,
when 6 rings.
So what I'm saying is, when we have the Jordan LeBron argument, right, which LeBron will never win because he doesn't have 6 rings and he didn't win. He's not 6-0 in the finals, and you can't tell fucking Jordan stands anything and yada yada yada. The one thing we never saw was them.
Here we go. See, like you made an actually intelligent statement there, and then all of a sudden you had to bring in Jordan stands. Like there's not LeBron stands. Okay.
I think there's LeBron defenders. There's defenders.
There's no LeBron stands.
There probably is, but
thank you. Interesting enough, though, as I bring up the Las Vegas Raiders search, Cliff Kingsbury is on their number 1. Cliff Kingsbury, Mike Vrabel, Liam Cohen, Ben Johnson, and Deion Sanders.
Yeah.
Do you think Deion Sanders and Tom Brady could get along?
Sure.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. Matt Eberflus obviously was fired. Dennis Allen, Saints. So Bears, Saints, and Jets, we already knew, all looking for new head coaches. It's going to be quite the carousel this year.
Jeremy did mention as well, too, 49ers got rid of their DC. He looks like he might still stay on staff, but it does appear that you will have Robert Saleh sliding into that spot going forward. Bring back the gang together, you know. You got Shanahan focused on the offense, Saleh focused on the defense. Great pickup, great hire again. I could see a big bounce back for the 49ers next year.
3 times also putting in that multiple reports have surfaced that Tom Brady has reached out to Bill Belichick to see if he would go to the Raiders. Interesting. I'm sure there's an out clause. And wouldn't that be a roller coaster of emotions for the North Carolina Tar Heels? Woo! Oh,
you know about the actual clause, right?
Yeah.
If he leaves before June 1st to take an NFL job, they only owe him like $1 million.
Wait. So if Belichick leaves by June 1st to take an NFL job, North Carolina still has to pay him?
Yeah.
That's the most egregious thing I've ever heard in my life. Go take an NFL job, but I ain't fucking paying you for it. What am I paying you for? I mean,
it's in the contract.
Okay, so let me ask you this question. Let's just say that you're a young athlete coming up. You're deciding what school you go to. Like, I'm going to go play for this legend. And then all of a sudden your lawyer or whoever looks goes, by the way, just so you know, this guy has an out that he can leave at any time before the season starts. Why would you ever commit to that?
Well, I mean, listen, you got Freddie Kitchens, the offensive coordinator. They got a completely pro staff. I mean, listen, the argument is that if you want to learn how to get prepared for the NFL, you come learn from the guys who have coached in the NFL. So
I understand all of that. But the fact is that he could get up and leave at any point between now and before the season even starts. That's pretty scary. I don't know. I guess it depends if you're getting some NFL. Jalen Hurts will practice today, according to Nick Sirianni. So it looks like he's getting on. We'll see what happens at the end of this one. Yeah, the Robert Saleh to the 49ers is awesome for the 49ers. I think that he was an absolutely great defensive coordinator. I think he was a good head coach. I think he just got put into a shitty situation with a bunch of divas and got overrun. I mean, I definitely think he'll get another shot in a few years. But this is what I'm talking about. And I really hoped he would have gone to the Bears, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't think that probably would have ever came to fruition due to his ties with Matt LaFleur. I don't think that he would ever go play against him. So I don't think that. But I would have loved to have him in Chicago. Love to. Let's move it on as we close it out. The NCAA bowl games are finally wrapping up. We have down to our Final Four, which is what we used to start with. The way that we got here was a little questionable. 12 teams down to 4. We haven't really seen a whole lot of good games. Honestly, we saw one out of Arizona State, which was a little bit shaky as well. So now let's start off. We got Notre Dame going into Penn State. And I will say
tomorrow,
I will be the first one to say that I have shit all over Penn State all year long. And they have proven me wrong every step of the way. And I could not be a bigger Penn State fan than I will be tomorrow. Because we all know how I feel about Notre Dame. No offense to the kids over there. I think that Notre Dame program is a really, really good program. A lot of good players on the field. I think that head coach, even though he was mentioned to the Bears, and I said, no, I think he's great for what he's doing. He's got that team ready to go. I think that Notre Dame team is probably a little bit more deep, but give me Penn State. Anytime I can shit on Notre Dame or knock them down, I'm going to take it until they get into a conference. So go Penn State.
They're in a conference. They play in the ACC. They just don't. I will definitely be rooting for Notre Dame in this game, considering that I hold a Notre Dame ticket and they're offering me no cash out on it. I don't understand. It's wild to me. I think they're right, Jay. Like as people who have Notre Dame tickets, like I was like, oh, they win the first 2 games. Like we're gonna get a cash out, possibility here. Nothing. They don't.
You ain't no bitch. You ain't cashing out.
I know I'm probably not, but
you're gonna ride that $10 all the way to the end.
It's not $10 anyway. I will say that.
Hold on. Let's see.
What does he got? 20 for 130. Okay.
2 units from the 3-time. Jeffrey's got 4 units on it.
I think Notre Dame kicks their ass.
Probably, but god damn it.
It's crazy to me. Like, so obvious. I was on Boise State against Penn State, and it was New Year's Eve, and I had a table full of Penn State fans, and I was like, oh, no, they don't want to hear shit. Tell me how dumb I am. listen, Boise, Janty fumbles the ball twice. They throw 3 interceptions and they miss 2 field goals. And at the end of the game, they have the ball with a chance to cover. like Penn State didn't show me anything at all. It's the same thing against SMU, honestly. Like, if we're going to be honest, against SMU, like SMU moved the ball up and down the field. They just happen to have pick sixes and sucky ways to end drives. But now it's at home on a whiteout. Like, I just don't see anything. And I know Franklin lays down in these situations all the time. I'm rolling with Notre Dame tomorrow. I'm going to double up on it again. Let's fucking go.
I think the Notre Dame is the better team. I just can never root for them. And shout out to Nick Burks, who obviously watched the show today because he also picked the Broncos over the Bills in the first round on his official pick'em that he just put out.
Do you think that's one of the things that endears us so much to Mike? Is the fact that we are Mercs fans and his relationship with Mike through the Super Bowl and being able to see behind the scenes what kind of a guy Mike is as well. Do you think that's
I think that's definitely it. I think that's definitely a little bit, but honestly, just watching Mike Evans, just watch him on the sidelines and stuff. Like, he's just not a diva in any sense of the word. And he's probably one of the best receivers to ever grace the football field. And he just goes about business. And that's what I love about it. He just goes about his business, dude. Every once in a while he gets in there. Every once in a while he gets a little fired up, maybe getting a little fight with Lattimore or whatever when he's protecting Tom Brady. But you know what, dude? He just goes about his business. You don't hear him bitching. When have you ever heard about Mike Evans not getting enough touches? He just plays to win the game, man. The things that he's done throughout the Bucs, the less money that he's taken to ensure that the Bucs could get a better roster. Just class act, man. I guess, to your point, watching him at the Super Bowl party with with Nick and those guys, and it's just a class act. And I don't know him from shit. I just know him from what I see on TV and what I see on Twitter or whatever, blah 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 X. It just seems like a good dude, man. And I love rooting for people like that.
Amen.
Love it.
Amen.
It's probably why I'm a Mitch Trubisky fan. Ohio State, Texas.
Yeah, how can you be a Mitch Trubisky fan and root against the Bills this week? It's crazy.
Did you see him get into the game last night? He looked good, man. Ooh.
Of course.
I hope he gets another shot. Him and Trask and Fields. I'm a backup quarterback guy. I don't really like their starters. Give me the backups. That's when I get excited. Put the backups in. So let's get into Ohio State, Texas. Everybody and their mother expects Ohio State to just curb stop Texas, which is probably why it won't happen.
Yep.
But I will say this. Ohio State just seems like an absolute juggernaut. Michigan, you really screwed over the entire playoff system with your flag plant because you just woke up an absolute beast in Ryan Day and this Ohio State team. I definitely don't think that Texas has enough weapons to compete with them on the offensive side of the ball. Texas defense is pretty stout, though. I will say that. They're pretty good. I don't trust Quinn Ewers in this situation at all. Even though Steve Sarkisian's probably coaching for his job as well as Ryan Day. So I don't know. This could be a coin toss game. I mean, my gut tells me, again, Ohio State by a mile, just because what I've seen. Texas hasn't impressed me all year long. They haven't beat anybody in the top 25. I don't know. Give me Ohio State. Give me the points, whatever. Give me the alternate line. I would say Ohio State probably wins by 10. Maybe they're up by 17, and Texas gets a garbage time touchdown in the fourth quarter to bring it down to 10. So take your -9.5 alternate lines with confidence.
I will be
not a gambling and I'm not responsible for anything that you bet.
I'll be taking the over 53 in Texas +7. I think right now the game's at 6. But I hate the number 6, especially after sweating overtimes. So I will buy the full point up to make it -130. The two-teamer together plays +230. So if you want, tell me. If not, fade me. I don't really care.
You think Notre Dame and Ohio State? Is that what you said?
No. I said I'm taking Notre Dame, right? And then I'm going to take Texas +7 and over 53 points.
Hate it.
I think it could turn into a little bit of a track race here. And it really doesn't even have to get there for it to be 26-27 or whatever it is. I mean, it's going to be right there. So I just think that this is like the most everybody's going to be on Ohio State. Texas looked like shit, right? Ohio State looked great. entire public, entire betting community, everybody's going to be on Ohio State. I think Texas has played tougher games all year. Give me Texas in the spot.
I don't know why it won't let me. This screams a monster parlay, monster teaser. Notre Dame -1.5 over 45.
I don't think you can do that on Hard Rock.
I don't see it. They had teasers on here. I saw them before, but that to me screams monster teaser right there. Take Notre Dame -1.5 over 45, which would be dropped to over. What was it? 10 point over 35. And that would give you Notre Dame +6.5. And then you have Ohio State, which would be basically +1.
Can we go the other way on the Notre Dame
have
game?
Over 43.
You
can go whatever. You could go whatever way you want. You were talking about rainbow flags earlier. I don't judge you, dude.
I would take it the other way. I would buy it up to take the under on the Notre Dame Penn State game.
You don't think they can score 35 points total?
What?
Yeah. Okay. So when I say over, right? So it's over 45, but you get 10 points. So it'd be 35. So
I can see it being 13-10, honestly.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is I would much rather take the under on whatever 60 points or whatever it is than taking over on 35.
All right. Well, that's going to be our college picks. Obviously, we'll see what happens going into this. Big shout out to the Florida Gators men's basketball team that absolutely decimated Tennessee at home last night, beat them by 30, 70, something like that. Man, SEC basketball is looking good this year. Hopefully Florida puts it together. We'll see what happens. And shout out to the Illinois Fighting Illini, my hometown over there. Another good basketball program, ranked 13th in the nation. So congratulations to all of those guys. Continue to perform in the college basketball season. I think we can all agree there's nothing quite like March Madness, which will be coming up in a couple months.
Did you watch the TGL last night?
No. So it was a competitive indoor golf league.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Anyway, okay, we can move on.
Yeah.
I had some shout outs I wanted to give as well too, but I just forget what they were. So
yeah, no worries. Would you like me to buy some time here?
No, I don't remember what they were, and I'm over it. So
okay. Well, that's going to do it for us this day at the Uninformed Fan. Stay tuned. Make sure you give us some follows on the socials. Hit that notification button. You never know what's going to happen this weekend. Maybe we go live for a little Bucks Commanders action.
You know what? I did want to shout out are Wowzers, Jose, and Mark. New people in the chat today, contributing a lot to the show. We appreciate you. Thank you very much. Appreciate the subscription from some of you as well too. Thank you guys for being here. Appreciate it. However you found us. Thank you.
Absolutely. We love having you guys in. This is probably, as you already know, one of the most interactive shows that you're going to see. Obviously, all of our stuff is going to be on replay. We do love to interact with the people on here, and we are the uninformed. I am the uninformed fan. Jeff tries to be informed. I don't give a shit. I shoot from the hip. I don't care. My feelings don't care about your stats, and I will say whatever happens. And you know what? That's probably what 90% of the armchair quarterbacks on the couch. That's how we feel. And to your point, that was the idea behind the logo. Is we are just the average guys who just fire off at the hip. We don't need your Stephen A. analytics or your Shannon Sharp. Actually, before we go, did you happen to see the clip of Dan Orlovsky owning Shannon Sharp?
Pretty hilarious.
About his brother?
Yep.
Oh, dude.
I thought you were going to start talking about Joy Taylor.
I didn't know anything about that. Obviously, my boys sent out a porno type picture that showed a big gangbang, and
that wasn't what the okay.
What do you mean?
You make it sound so bad. It was a picture of Joy Taylor sitting on the couch, and then
5 dudes behind her.
Fox execs standing behind her, and the talent.
Waiting to bang her, which was a play.
That's what you assume. You don't know that?
No, I didn't. I asked, and that's what I was told.
That's what Ian said. I sent a picture.
If we all know something about pornographic material, I'm sure Ian's the expert. So I do. With that, I take his word to the grave. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I didn't know anything about that, but apparently it was a lawsuit by Skip Bayless. He's suing.
No, I don't want to get into it.
Well,
Because I don't want to say something that is factually incorrect and then be able to be sued as well.
how you can be? We have free speech here. We're not spreading propaganda. We're reading.
It would be if we talked about it.
Well, that meme probably is. The Fox Sports lawsuit involving Skip Bayless, Joy Taylor, and others. This is from the USA Today. So if you have a problem, talk to them. The lawsuit filed last week with some serious allegations, including the vice president. So what's going on? What's going on? Alleges that Dixon grabbed her buttocks. I don't know. Whatever. I can't get into this shit. Whatever. I just trying to figure out how Skip Bayless is involved because ain't nobody sexually harassing that dude. I don't know how. I don't know. Whatever. Old Skip in his Jordans. Trying to be
allegedly a former hairdresser was offered allegedly $1.5 million from Skip. Now
to do what?
This hairdresser
To cut his hair
went to go hang out and meet up with allegedly Joy Taylor for lunch years ago.
Threesome.
And when she met up with Joy Taylor was there with Emmanuel Acho, who's big
former Bear.
Obviously, she said from what she could see that they were romantically involved. She leaves. Joy then proceeds to tell her about how she had Mr. Dixon, who was allegedly Joy Taylor was sleeping with, and that Joy Taylor,
the VP.
Yes, and that she would eventually be on her own show and fast tracked and so on and so forth. And the hairdresser said, well, isn't that dangerous? Because, Acho is employed by the network as well, too. And if Dixon found out that you were sleeping with him, he could make life very tough on you. And allegedly, Joy Taylor said that if he ever did that, she would just claim that that she was sexually harassed by him, and that would end whatever it was.
So this is all hearsay.
Correct.
So I don't understand, what was the $1.5 million for? To get information? To be a spy?
The $1.5 million was supposedly offered, allegedly, by Skip Bayless toward this hairdresser in exchange for something. Let's just say.
Information?
Nope.
Acts?
Allegedly.
Bro, like go on Craigslist. Oh, actually, they don't have it on Craigslist. Backpage, that's gone too. Yeah, man. Shit's real out in them streets these days, man.
Whew. This is also like 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, whatever.
And
crazy.
Like Joy was married.
That's about what it would take to sleep with Skip Bayless, I would think.
So Joy was like married at the time this happened, allegedly happened, and then after ended up getting engaged to Earl Watson, who ended up being a NBA head coach and was a former.
You know a lot about this, Jeff. I'm going to stop you right there because you know way too much about this.
I just know whatever it is through the years of watching Fox Sports.
I guess I just don't watch Fox Sports, so
Joy, because Joy's talked about Earl was employed by Clutch, Clutch Sports being Rich Paul, LeBron James, and there's different things that happen with that. Shout out to LeBron, by the way. You see that dunk last night?
I could give two shits.
That was crazy, bro. He did the most iconic, the Jordan, right, switching it up and going to the left, one of the most iconic plays.
What's the iconic LeBron move?
Instead, at 40 years old, LeBron went up with the right, switched to the left, and dunked on Derek Lively.
Yeah.
They said might be the dunk of the year at 40.
What's the iconic? Yeah, okay, he's at 40, but he's also playing on a playground where nobody plays defense. What's the iconic LeBron James signature? Is it the flop? Is it the flop? The lay flop?
I think
is that what's going to go down?
I think
obviously we have the Jordan flight from the from the free throw line
chase
dunk.
down block, the propaganda that the NBA has put onto us about Michael Jeffrey Jordan.
I would probably say, I would say the block I would probably say that's his signature move, the run down behind the block.
I mean, he has the 3 against the Magic, which was crazy. He's got the 3 in the corner in the eyes of Jimmy Butler.
We're not talking about plays, bro. We're not talking about plays. I'm talking about iconic, like the Jordan free throw dunk became the logo of the Jordan brand, right? We've seen how many times we see the Magic Johnson where he goes up, drops it, to your point, goes to the left. I'm not saying this to be a troll. I'm asking, what is that signature moment from LeBron that we say, that's it? That's the iconic moment. That's all.
He's got a lot of iconic moments, but the problem is that we've learned to hate LeBron so much, and to be so.
Who hates LeBron?
A lot of people.
Yeah, well, they just don't know basketball. I can appreciate what he's brought to the game.
Look at this smirk.
I can appreciate what he's brought to the game, and I can still say that Kobe and Jordan are above him on my list.
It's asinine. It's okay, though.
It is, but that's what makes this world beautiful, right? That's why we're going to buy Greenland, so we can have more opinions and more, Gulf of America. I'm going to go vacation to the Gulf of America.
I like the new setup, Jeremy. It looks good, right?
I'm going to go up to the 51st state in Canada. And then
PBR here.
I do love here. Somebody else said, let's bring in Mexico too.
Golf clubs there.
Yeah, just make it one big one. Jeff knows too much about Joy Taylor's escapades. You didn't see that, did you?
I did see it, and it's not worth even commenting on. Because...
Yes, it is, because you know way too much. You probably watched The View too, don't you?
No, but I do know that Sonny Hostin's husband just got indicted.
All right. That's going to do it for us today on the Uninformed Fan. We have lots of stuff to do. It is freezing outside. It's gym time. Jeffrey's got to get his avocado toast, another dose going. Jeremy's got to drink some tequila. It's going to be one of those days. I hope everybody has a great week, great time on the playoffs. If you are out this weekend, please, for the love of God, stay out of the left-hand lane. I just drove back from Tampa, and you guys are literally the Antichrist. Literally. Yes, literally. All traffic caused by left-hand lane drivers. I will die on this hill. You guys absolutely suck.
Okay. Be great.